This is the Global Broadcasting Service, serving remote outposts since 1928.
Hi, everyone. Welcome aboard the Walt Disney World Express monorail.
Caramba, we have something really big for you today.
Welcome, foolish mortals.
Now then, hang on to them hats and glasses, because this here's the wildest ride in the wilderness.
This is the DBC Pod with Phil Schoen and Jason Dodge. Hey everybody, welcome to this week's pod show for the week of November 20th, 2023. Happy Thanksgiving to all those that celebrate in the U.S. I think, Phil, as you mentioned in our show notes, this is a good spot to say what we're all thankful for in relates to Disney theme parks, that type of thing. I mean, we are a theme park show. So for those out there that are kind of ho-hum about Disney or ho-hum about the state of things, Josh Jamaro just had another interview where everything is still blue sky and all this other stuff. And there's a lot of negativity on Twitter. I saw that last night, or on message boards or wherever. I don't really prescribe to a lot of the negativity out there, but I think it's a good time for us to think what we're thankful for in the Disney parks and in Disney. So, Phil, what's on your mind? How do you want to open the show?
Yeah, so the two things that came to mind when I put this topic in the show notes was first, just like, I'm thankful I get to go to theme parks and get to go to like Walt Disney World, and that I have a partner who is supportive of that. And like, I guess, side note, she gave me the go ahead to do the down and back with my son, so that's all booked and stuff like that. I know not everybody would get the same support from that, so I'm thankful for that. And then the other thing I thought of was kind of ties to your point about people being negative and all the message boards and stuff like that. And as agitated as I might get at times, I'm kind of thankful that exists, that like those are the things I get to complain about, or like those are the things that are like challenging in my life, and like it's just a good break from the real world, right? To go on there and kind of debate back and forth what Josh Damaro says, or how Fast Pass should work, or Cheating Plus, is it good or bad or whatever. It's kind of a nice break from more serious debates that I have to do at work and home and stuff like that. So,
yeah, I mean, those are two good things to be thankful for. Those are like serious things to be thankful for, and I appreciate that. I cannot top the, I was going to get a little corny with my responses. I can't top with I'm thankful. Of course, I echo the same. I'm thankful that I can go in 25 days from now, and I'm thankful that the biggest issues I have to complain about is whether or not Tiana's is going to open next year or the year after, or all other kind of nonsense type of thing. But for me, thankfully, I guess I'm thankful. I was kind of thinking about this. Over the last couple of weeks, my kids have colds and the normal stuff over the weekend, and it got me thinking about. I'm finally to the point where I'm no longer like, you hold your breath when your kids start coughing because of the whole pandemic and everything else.
That's true.
I'm thankful in a serious tone that we're kind of on the other side of the pandemic. The parks are, I think I just read a statement from Matt Pato about his index. They're like basically all the way back from the pandemic, minus some of the things obviously that we like to complain about on the show from time to time. But I'm grateful that the world is back to a normal place, that Disney can be a fun place, and you don't have to concern yourself about having to wear masks all over the place and all that other stuff. So I'm grateful that we're back to normal. I'm grateful that we're getting a new Epcot show coming up. That's very exciting, and maybe we'll talk a little rumor here or there about it later in the show. I'm grateful that Disney's still a fun place to be. Nothing got ruined. Like, people like to, there's ridiculous threads all over the place. There's not enough shrubbery like there used to be at Disney, or the Disney magic is gone. The cast members are all terrible, blah, blah, blah. Like, you see all this grumpiness all over the place. But when you still go, and when you still talk to people that have gone for the first or second time, the magic's still there. And I'm just grateful for all the cast members that are down there that make the magic happen, that give you a place to be, kind of shut the outside world and just kind of explore and be a child again. So I'm grateful for that environment that's still there, hasn't been damaged in any major or significant way, and it's a place where we all can have fun. So we're going to ask you, I'm just going to say it right now. If you're listening to this, and as you're listening to the rest of the show, our DVC engagement for this week is, what are you thankful for this year when it comes to Disney and theme parks and that type of thing? Just a reminder of our social media at the DBC Pod, everywhere that you can find us. X, Insta. We don't even need to say Twitter anymore, right? It's just X.
No,
Insta,
although
Facebook.
I heard some people started referring to it. It's like the artist formerly known as Twitter.
Sure, why not? Some weird symbol or something. Yeah. Facebook and the YouTube channel, of course. Discord. Please join Discord. It's where all the conversation is happening, especially where everybody's planning trips for the next couple months. So there's a lot of stuff going on with that. Now, one of the things that we talked about last week was whether or not you were going to go see The Wish or the Marvels in the movie theater. I'm still planning to go. A good friend of mine already took his kids to see the Marvels, and I was angry that he didn't take me too, but he took his kids. But you saw both in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So no spoilers, obviously, but like to me, I got some interesting vibes just kind of reading some reactions without getting in anything. I'm unspoiled. Is that the Marvels was very fun, but it is tanking in the money in the box office numbers. And Wish got some. I got some weird things like everything. Everybody said that they loved it, but it was. I saw somebody said it was on Rotten Tomatoes. It was disappointing 100th anniversary showcase or something else like that.
Yeah.
So Phil, I got to ask you. Are these roughly the right vibes that are going out there? So what is generally your take?
So yeah, for the Marvels, I think I might have touched on it a little bit last week, but yeah, it is a really fun movie. It was a good time at the theater. The three leads are really good. Just how they play off each other and Miss Marvel is such a great character that she's almost like a fan and kind of is reacting how a lot of us would react if we were in her spot and stuff. So I think that's great. And it's interesting because a lot of the reviews, pretty much every review I've read like from like actual, people, not necessarily reviewers, is generally pretty positive. And so if I was thinking it might have some positive word of mouth that like people were kind of negative about it. It's like, oh, it actually surprised people that it was good, better than expected. But then they had the biggest drop of any Marvel movie in week 2 and stuff. I'm like, that's not a good sign. No. So they're saying like it might not even make $100 million domestic and stuff. Like it's just, and I don't know. So it got me thinking like, okay, they made a fun movie. The reaction to it is pretty positive, and like people still aren't going. Like, I don't know what Marvel does. I mean, maybe it's just going to be a slow thing where they kind of have to earn the trust back, but I just don't know what they do when it's this bad.
And I've been avoiding anything that's a Marvel, so I don't know. There's probably a million people saying why Marvel's bad or why Marvel is going to be good or whatever, right? My personal take is there's been such a long string of movies that go nowhere, that do nothing for the overall narrative, because we've been trained that there's a narrative.
Yeah.
That people are like, I could not watch the next 5, catch them when they come out, when rent them, download them on Disney Plus, that type of thing, and then just catch up all at once. Because I think people are going to watch it, and I think it's going to have longer legs like once it's out of the theaters, because people don't think I don't need to see the theaters. I'll bank this one. I mean, I did that in like phase 2 and 3. There was a couple Marvel movies I didn't see, and until the run up to Infinity War and Endgame, I caught up with a couple of them. It was like Ant-Man and stuff like that. So I think that's kind of like the vibe that's going on right now. They still have the Endgame hangover. So I think that might be the case.
And there are some definitely, just to mention, there are some things towards the end that kind of lead into like what's coming. So maybe it'll be one of those things. Once those things are actually approaching, then people will come back and watch this. For Wish, we went to a preview showing of it this past Saturday. They were showing it, I think it was like 750 theaters around the country. So it wasn't like some exclusive thing or whatever, but a lot of these theaters were doing just one showing on this Saturday, the 18th, kind of in preparation before the full release this Wednesday. And we all really liked it. It was a very well done show. The lead actress has a great voice, some really good songs. I have seen some critiques that I kind of get with, some of the secondary characters maybe aren't as like memorable as in some other movies and stuff like that. But overall, it's a really good, kind of more straightforward story. Really interesting animation. And when they say they like references the past, there's so many elements of it in a good way. Like the backgrounds really are reminiscent of like the hand painted backgrounds from the old Disney. I can't wait for like Screen Crush and those channels to come out with their Easter egg videos, because they're so like we were naming them after the movie. Like, did you see that one? Did you like Easter eggs to past Disney movies? Because it's kind of like this is the culmination of 100 years. So they've referenced so many of the other animated movies in it. And yeah, so I'm not saying it's like the greatest, you know, if I'm ranking every Disney movie, it's not going to be number one or anything like that, but I think it's a really well-made movie. It kind of pulls from the past while still being its own thing. Good villain, good, you know, kind of plot line, you know, plot development and stuff like that. So yeah, I think some of the critiques I did see was that it just didn't feel like maybe that big epic that this really is, like the culmination of 100 years, that type of thing. But I thought it kind of, I don't know what they could have done. Yeah, I don't know what they could have done. I think, you know, for lack of a better word, maybe they played it a little safe. But I think that's what made sense, right? They're kind of building on like, these are the types of movies that built Disney, right? And that's kind of what they're, versus doing something more out there like a Pixar movie, which maybe would have been a better quote unquote movie, but it wouldn't necessarily have made sense to be like kind of building off the history of Disney animation. So I thought they did it well. I definitely recommend seeing it. Hopefully a lot of people, you know, the theater was pretty full that we saw it in, and everybody seemed to be super into it. The family next to us, the kid was like super into it. It was kind of fun.
That's good.
You know, people clapping and stuff like that. So yeah, if you're, you know, we got the holiday weekend coming up here in the US. So if you find some time, go see it in the theaters. It's a good one.
Yeah, my kids have been asking when they get to see it. I don't. They're only asking me for when we're going to get to see it because I mentioned that we are going to see it, and they haven't been to the movies in so long. Other than my daughter going to the Taylor Swift concert movie, whatever it's called, and that force of nature that it is. But okay, a couple things I wanted to bring up.
Oh, one thing I did want before we leave it. One other thing.
Yeah,
we talked about sort of the different like PR advertisement stuff they were doing for it, and how they were like releasing all the songs leading up to it. And I did ask a lot of my members of my family, did you think that was good or bad that you had heard so many of the songs beforehand? And in general, we kind of felt like we wish we didn't know as many of the songs. That I think if we heard them fresh in the movie, it might have hit a little more. Obviously, you get to see how they are in the movie, and there's more animation and stuff like that. So I'm not saying it like ruined it for me, but I thought that was kind of interesting. That in general, we kind of like probably didn't need to hear like every song before we went into it. So if you haven't listened to all the songs yet, wait.
Yeah. Now, I mean, I think the only thing Disney was probably hoping would happen was one of them gets viral before the movie comes out, and then like, oh, I got to go see the movie. But to me, I'm not, like I said, I think I've said this 2 or 3 times already. I am not a very good judge of music at all. So like none of them hit me were like, you know, this was great, and I wanted, you know, my kids need to hear it over and over again type of thing. So, but what do I know? Right. So this was kind of like a slow news week, basically. And then also I have no update on my trip planning other than ADR frustration, and no one really cares about that. There's some general things that were just kind of floating out here. I think they're worth the conversation, that have been part of the conversation the last couple of days. And the big one was the Jollywood recovery, as you kind of put in the show notes. So basically what they did was they kind of spread the party out a little bit more bartenders, more, you know, at the Tip Top Club, there was an actual bar versus just a cart with more bartenders.
And the bartenders were more themed. They were like dressed like bellhops and stuff. So it seemed like they put a little more effort into that.
So more characters. It was just basically the people that went. There was a couple different reviews from random people that just posted on there that they had a wonderful time. And it seems like they've done a much better job recovering from that. I don't know if Disney's going to recover from the bad press from the first night. But generally, it was much more well run. And like you were saying, on a lot of different places, it was the logistics that really changed, right?
Yeah. Yeah, nothing new major added other than the characters. It's not like they totally revamped any of the other areas, but it was mostly just logistics. They even had, you know, they added another place for checking in to get your badges and stuff like that. And then the additional characters, I think, helped it spread the credit. I'm just also wondering, because it seemed like for the first night, they had a sold out party and had invited media. And I'm wondering if that was just too many people. And
that can't be. And
now they have fewer people and some extra things for them to do. If it just helps, if that made enough of a difference.
How many invited media are there? I mean, it can't be like a signict portion.
I don't know. I mean, obviously there are ones that are going to like want to do everything and see everything, but so I don't know. It just felt like all the reports were it was easier to get into things and stuff like that. So it just felt like maybe there were less people. I don't know. Maybe some people canceled when they heard the bad reviews for the first night. I don't
who
know.
knows?
But yeah, it's nice to see Disney. Again, not everyone was satisfied with what they did, but at least they made an effort and tried to correct it with what they could do in a week. And hopefully they learn from it, and maybe next year they add to it more, and it becomes a nice event for the future.
There's a couple of vlogs out there, or at least reports, that if you're really interested in finding out the details, you can Google it and find out. So I would suggest doing that. I don't think it's fully sold out, and I don't know if anybody's going to be in town to go see it, but it might be worth your while checking out if the price tag doesn't scare you away at first.
Yep.
Another thing that I was reading through WDW Magic forums, and the big mystery of the show, and I'm still amazed that there's a centerpiece. Like, everybody's seen the pictures of the barges on the center ring.
Yeah, this is for you didn't mention this is for Luminous. You're talking about the new show at Epcot. Yep.
Yeah. And, everybody's seen the barges. One of them had some mysterious kind of canvas or something stretched over that looked like North America, I think it was.
Yeah, so that there are going to be panels on the
Yep.
barges that look like kind of an ode back to the globe, and has kind of references to the continents and stuff.
Yeah, and there is is it a hexagon in the middle?
Yes. Yeah.
So there's something that goes there, right? And they haven't shown it yet. So to me, it's amazing that they haven't tested it getting into place yet.
Yeah.
Or that we've seen, let's say.
True.
And so that's it. So everybody's guessing, what is this thing? What is this thing? Everybody's pleasantly surprised that this hasn't been leaked yet or whatever. So the moderator at WDW Magic, he mentions it should be something to the show that is consistent with the rest of Luminous. Don't expect big octopus arms like the contraptions in Harmonious, but it will add to the show. Now, Phil, I think one of the things that we should do is kind of guess what it actually is. So what is your first inclination?
So my first thought was that it's going to be something that's an ode back to the globe from Illuminations, and has some sort of fire element that had, and is going to be kind of that middle component with the kind of the flame of the symphony and stuff in the middle. So that's my first thought.
Just fire. Just big
yeah, it's something like some spherical that kind of is a nod back to the sphere from the globe from Illuminations, and it has a fire effect because we haven't seen any other fire effects with any of the barges.
That's true. I think it's going to be simple, right? I don't think it's going to be this huge mechanical thing because they would want to test that extensively. So I think it's just going to be. No, I don't think it has anything to do with projections or like something to project onto, because it's right in the middle. There's going to be there's water fountains or pyro and stuff like that. So it can't be flammable or anything else. I don't think it's a hard point type of install. Like, I don't think it's like a tall thing that you can watch, because getting that into place on such a narrow space would be kind of difficult to do. Because it's not connected to any of the other barges. So I would think if there's some kind of significant structure in the middle, it would need more support than what I see available. So I think you're likely right. I think it's going to be some kind of apparatus that's kind of spins and glows and fire maybe, or something else like that. But I don't think it's going to be like a definitive structure that's going to identify the show. Like, this is the show's main focal point.
Yeah.
I think it's just going to be like a cool centerpiece, but not like an icon, if that makes sense.
Yeah. The other thing the guess that I've heard from people is that it's going to be a match or similar to the three pylons that are at the front fountain of Epcot now. I forget what they're called, but those almost have like a prism shape to them to me. And I know there's supposed to be a lot of lasers with this show, so maybe it's something with like prisms and they shoot the lasers through that, and maybe something happens. I don't know. That's the only other idea I had.
I know. I like that too. All right, so we're gonna find out in 15-ish days or so.
Yeah, less than 2 weeks, right? It's the 5th. There.
We're getting there. So another thing that happened today that I kind of threw on here is, if you ever pay attention to Genie Plus, today was an all-time high for prices, and I should have written down what the prices are, but I don't.
I actually remember them.
$30+.
Yeah, so it was the Magic Kingdom, and then the Park Hopper were $35. Hollywood Studios was $32, I believe. Epcot was $28, and Animal Kingdom was $25.
So And I think Magic Kingdom sold out.
Yeah,
Didn't it?
Magic Kingdom, and I don't know if
Hopper.
this means it automatic does, but both Magic Kingdom and the Hopper. I don't know if it's like if Magic Kingdom sold out, then the Hopper is as well. But those two sold out, so they were the highest point price, and they sold out today.
So typically this week is like one of the busiest weeks of the year.
So now we got to play. Guess what? It's going to be priced tomorrow if it's sold out today. It's not going to be cheaper tomorrow.
Well, here's the thing: we've been not we, but a lot of people have been asking for this thing to be more expensive to make it more exclusive, so it's more valuable when you go to use it.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that. What
I will say
like.
to that, people were posting on it was on WD Magic the forums that they posted at like 2 or 3, and then again at like 4:30, like kind of the availability. And obviously some things were gone, especially like the princess meats and stuff, but there were still like decent rides you could get, which would have been probably, if you're a good, active user of it for your like 4th or 5th one, that you could still get, Pirates and Haunted Mansion and stuff like that. So I'm wondering if the cap was maybe a little bit lower when they knew it was going to be that much, because at least it feels like if you spent that much and as long as you were an active user, you probably got decent use out of it, which I think feels better than even if it was a little cheaper, but you got like 2 rides. It's like, oh, well, that was a waste type thing.
Yeah. No, because for my upcoming trip, I'm considering like it's the week before Christmas, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't plan on getting Genie Plus for anything other than potentially Magic Kingdom. Certainly not Epcot. Well, maybe one Epcot day if we're feeling saucy about it, but definitely not Animal Kingdom, and we're not going to Hollywood Studios. And the only reason why I say maybe on Magic Kingdom is we got a party day too, and they are still under, or the crowds are still low, even though they're sold out, right? So there seems to be good value on that. I don't think I could spend $150 on Genie Plus for Magic Kingdom in a day. And
I know.
Do we see this type of surge pricing the week before Christmas when everything's not as busy? Because school's usually still in play too, because we're taking our kids out. So I'm kind of getting somewhat nervous. But
it probably won't be this bad, but it'll, as it builds closer and closer to the holidays, to the Christmas time, it does get more and more crowded. So it's not going to be cheap when you go, but it probably won't be this bad. But yeah, I can't even imagine what's going to be on like New Year's and that week between Christmas and New Year's and stuff.
What's your threshold to pay for Genie Plus at this point? Let's assume that you're not, like, you don't go down every year or every whatever. Like this, you haven't been in 3 years, and you're going to Magic Kingdom for the first time in 3 years. Are you plucking down $150 for your family for the day?
If it's my only Magic Kingdom day, then I probably would.
Only Magic Kingdom day. You haven't been in 3 years.
Yeah, I probably would.
All right, $200 for your family.
Yeah, I don't know. Then it's getting a little.
I'm just trying to find where you say no, it's not worth it. I'm going to sit and stand by. I'm just curious because there's an effect, right? Like the more expensive it is, the less people are going, so the standby lines are a little bit better, right? You might be standing a long time, but still moving. I don't know. I just don't want to find that out.
Yeah.
Another thing that got launched last night was Defunctland, and if you don't know who Defunctland is, they've been making Disney or theme park related YouTube content for quite some time. One of Phil's favorites is the video about what is it called, Phil? But the Fast Pass and the Genie Plus. It's the title of his video for that one.
Oh, I forgot what it was called, but it was about the history of Fast Pass, and it's like the Shapeland one. Where he makes up a theme park and says, okay, here's how the rides are going to be and the Fast Pass and how much allocation, blah, blah, blah. And then spoiler alert at the end, he says this wasn't just a made up theme park. It was Animal Kingdom. And like, everyone's like, oh, wow. So I don't know. That one's really fun because it kind of gives the background and kind of how this monster grew.
Yeah, the titles I have it here. It's Disney's Fast Pass: A Complicated History. It came out about a year ago. So Defunct, he has a new video out. Everybody's excited. Like everybody, whenever he tweets something, all the big vloggers and the people that matter in the Disney social media sphere, we're all very excited. He makes very good content. He released a video called "Journey to the Epcot Center: A Symphonic History," and this was an odd video. I absolutely thought it was fantastic, but it's more of like a passive experience, right? Because his style of video is more documentary style, right? He takes some information, he relates it to you, and he explains things to you. This one, there was absolutely no narration whatsoever. It was kind of like, I don't know, like a Fantasia type of
a lot of people are referencing this, calling this his Fantasia, because there's a lot of really it starts off with an orchestra that apparently he like learned how to like write orchestra music as part of this, because he kind of learns all new skills to like do all this stuff. So he like co-wrote the music in it. But yeah, it starts off with that, and it just has a lot of different scenes using different artistic techniques and different kind of storytelling techniques, um, intermingled with these kind of live action shots of like the Disney executives like making decisions about what are we going to do about Epcot now that Walt's gone, and we can't really do a city anymore. Like there's one part in it where he's like nobody could do this, and somebody said like, well, Walt could do it, and then the one guy's like, Walt's dead. It's like, oh, okay. Like,
I mean, it was very bizarre. Like the show, a lot of, I mean, like to me, I thought it was very good. So basically, once I got past like, oh, I'm going to sit here for an hour and just kind of watch this, and like passively take things in. But they had a lot of cool footage about the birth of Epcot, like a lot of the R&D, a lot of the building stuff, a lot of the stuff I haven't seen before, and a good history of it and where it came from and all this other stuff. And it kind of led up to opening day and everything else. I thought that was really good. And then all these meetings that you mentioned were like, basically the shot is from like the neck down. So you didn't see anybody's face. You just saw like people in business suits from various, decades of like style type of thing. And there was some voices and stuff like that. And they showed some other interviews with, other prominent Imagineers, that type of thing.
And I had Marty Sklar in there a few times and stuff.
Yep, absolutely. So it wasn't like it was just whatever, but there were a lot of scenes where it was just like puppets shadow dancing and like, all weird type of things. I thought it was really nice. You were kind of disappointed by it. So what were you expecting?
I was mixed on it because I was very much looking forward to this. He's been working on it for 3 years. Obviously, my affinity for Epcot, and I very much found it a beautiful thing that he put together. It's really incredible, all the effort and how things came together. It just felt a little more like clinical and less personal than his other videos that he narrates and kind of has a point that he's trying to get across. His video is almost like, I don't know if you watch Late Night or last week with what's his face?
John Oliver.
John Oliver, where it's like obviously he has an angle and he's trying to get this message across and saying here's how things can change. I feel like a lot of Defunctland's videos are sort of like that too, where it's like we're trying to tell you about something and why things are the way they are, and like here's maybe how things can change and that sort of thing. And I didn't necessarily get that out of it, and I think it was because this wasn't narrated that it just didn't feel as kind of, I don't know, like the other ones felt like he was coming into your living room and talking to you, and this one felt a little more distanced for me.
Well, I mean, it was a book report about Epcot, but done artistically. Yeah, and I thought it was really well done.
Oh yeah,
but it's certainly not his style of like. There's a message like behind Epcot. Like, why did Epcot fail? Why did Epcot succeed? Why is you can see him building up to today's Epcot and how it lost its message and all this other stuff that people like to talk about. But no, I mean, you have a point. I kind of divorced myself away from that. Like, I knew immediately, like, once he started, like, it was like, I think one of the opening credits was like, this is an interpretation or what have you. That was like basically a warning for the rest of the movie. And I'm like, okay. So after the first 5 minutes, I thought to myself, am I going to watch this whole thing? And it's just like, I just found myself like not being able to turn it off because it was compelling. It was interesting. It's something I won't watch again. I mean, I haven't watched a lot of his videos over either, but I'm just saying it was fun. It was a fun ride that, I was glad it was there, and I hope more people watch it, I think.
I thought I'd just mention, he just tweeted out recently. Obviously he tweeted out about the release of it, and like a lot of people commented and stuff like that. But he just tweeted out, he's like, there are many things I want to say about this project, but I have a lot of people to thank first. And he goes on to like kind of thank everybody. But he says, first, thank you, whether you dug it or not, for giving me the room to try. It's a big swing. I've known that for years, and it's okay if it's not your favorite, but I had to try. Which kind of like, I was like, is he talking to me? And then he ends this whole big long string saying with, I'll be back with more videos. And then in parentheses, he goes, with my narration. And trust me, I'm looking forward to it. He says, this has taken a lot out of me, and I'm emotionally very torn with it at this point, which I thought was interesting. He's like, but we'll live to make another one. So it's interesting. Like, he spent 3 years on this. He knows it's something different. He knows it's kind of like his Fantasia. So he probably has mixed feelings about like kind of letting this out into the world and like kind of also like, okay, I did that. Now what's my next thing? And, do I want to do this again? So I thought it was kind of interesting just to hear like the artists' kind of reaction after something has now been put out into the world, and that sort of thing.
I think we need a defunct land on the show. Like we need a defunct land version of the back. I would love to see like the making of and what went through his head to be such like a different way.
Yeah, he said he'll be doing that in the future, but that he needs to kind of let this sit for a little while.
Yeah, to let it breathe a little bit for sure, 100%.
The last thing I will say is I was very proud of my son. That as I watched it with my son and my oldest daughter, and they were all really into it and stuff like this. But when it gets to the point where they have the big kind of reveal about Figment, he literally stood up and applauded. So.
Oh, that's awesome. I can't watch this stuff with my kids. I think we were just this evening, right before bedtime, I found Disney's park planning podcast, like the official Disney YouTube channel has a podcast planning show, I guess, whatever. And it was just 3 women that are on the planning board or trip advisory board or whatever that Disney puts together. And they're sitting at Epcot. And the subject was the Festival of the Holidays, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm like, I've been waiting. This is one of my trip planning things that I've been waiting for. Is I need, because it doesn't start until this weekend, right? Festival of Holidays. It's the day after Thanksgiving.
I think so. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I believe it starts Friday.
And I'm just waiting just to have a visual representation of what's there so my kids can see it and they can start picking out treats and things they want to do, that type of thing. And so I put it on. It was just 3 women, just like us, sitting there talking about planning a Disney trip or talking about what's new. And my kids were like, this is boring. There's just 2 people talking to each other. Why are we watching this? I'm like, oh, just make me feel bad about myself. Thank you. This is only what I'm going to be doing in a couple hours with my friend. So we didn't make it too far. But that's one of the things I'm waiting for. I'm waiting for the Festival of Holidays, my trip planning update. I'm playing around with ADRs, and they're frustrating me because everybody and their mother is going to Disney World this week, apparently. The only other thing is I'm waiting on park hours. They've been slowly creeping them up to – not that my plans are going to change, but I like to get ready for – because I know Magic Kingdom is going to be probably open – or no, excuse me, Animal Kingdom is probably going to open maybe a half hour to an hour earlier, and Magic Kingdom is going to be open another hour or 2 after on the full nights. Non-party nights. So I'm waiting for those. So no updates. Not that anybody's really caring about my little tiny updates for my trip coming on, but those are the things that I think I'm kind of in that. We're at 25 days before we leave, and we're in that like lull period where, you already put in your room request. You've already done your bulk of ADRs. Now you're just doing fine tuning. You've already done the bulk of your planning for most. Now you're just kind of waiting.
Yeah.
And now we just have to make the family t-shirt too. So that's coming up. So that being said, that's my trip planning update. Now I want to play a game with Phil. So I'm going to put him on the spot, everybody. So here we go. We didn't have a game plan for this week. So today I spent some time, and I've got 3 different games, 1 round each. And I have a question for Phil. I want to see how many he can get. And hopefully I have all of them on this list. So I've got a list of abandoned things at Walt Disney World, and I want to see how many you can name. Right, so I'm not going to tell you how many there are.
Okay,
and 2 of these, in my opinion, are questionable. That I'll give you credit if you don't get them, but I'll give you a hint if you do.
Okay.
So, what things at Walt Disney World have been abandoned? So let me know.
So abandoned. So there's like River Country.
Okay.
Discovery Island.
That's 2.
So is it like rides and stuff that were torn down and replaced, or what do you? I guess I don't know.
There's just sitting there. There's nothing there.
Okay, there's the Stoll Airway.
Oh, I didn't even have that one on my list. So, but okay, but I mean, to me, I guess you could add that. But to me, that wasn't a place where guests went to.
Mm-hmm.
But go ahead, keep going.
Well, so what else? So just totally abandoned. Wow. I should be able to name a lot more of these. I'm sure there's.
Yes, you should be. You named River Country was one I was going to be like, because it was bulldozed, right? So it was kind of taken over from abandoned to now being processed. That was my iffy one, but you got that one.
Okay. I think the wave machines are still underwater out by the Polynesian.
Okay, so I don't even. Okay, but I didn't even know about that one. Go ahead. You're educating me. That's not on my list. There's major ones that are on this list before we get down to that level of.
Okay, obviously I'm missing obvious things.
Do you want a hint?
Yes, give me a hint because I feel like I'm not thinking of the right.
One of them is in Magic Kingdom.
Abandoned in Magic Kingdom.
It's an attraction in Tomorrowland.
Oh, you mean the things that aren't open, like Stitch?
That's abandoned building. I mean, abandoned's not like weeds growing over. It's like buildings that are just sitting there and not being used.
Okay, so then there's like Stitch. Then there's the Voyage of the Little Mermaid show building.
There we go. Okay.
There's the like the Rainbow Bridge in Journey to Imagination. That's still there, but not used.
Not on my list, but that's a good one.
Probably still missing some obvious ones.
Obvious one at Epcot. Tucked all the way in a corner. No? Wonders of Life Pavilion.
Oh, the whole pavilion. Duh. Yeah. I was even thinking of like, there's stuff at the Wonders of Life Pavilion that I think is still there from some of the attractions. And I didn't even think of the whole pavilion.
Unused space. And the big one, this is a brand new one to the list. This should have been the first one you mentioned.
A brand new one to the, like.
It was just abandoned.
Like Splash Mountain?
The Galactic Star Cruiser.
Oh, yes. That's a good one.
And the last one I had on my list, and I don't even know if it's because it's sometimes open, is Aunt Polly's on on Top Sawyer's Island. So that's the list. Okay. I did a poor job getting all of them. You did a great job surprising me by a couple that I didn't hear about. So that was good. I think that was somewhat fun and untortured. Now here's a challenge because Epcot is your favorite attraction. I was going to say I'm going to get my cell phone and put on a timer, but my cell phone is my camera. I'm going to Google timer, stopwatch. I'm going to click start.
Okay.
And I want you to name all the countries in order, starting with Canada to Mexico, and see how fast you can do it.
I probably will mess it up. I'll do my best. I'll probably mess it up. But
ready, set, go.
Okay, so there's Canada, the UK, France. Then it gets into Morocco, then Japan, the US, Italy, Germany, China. Well, the African Outpost is in there somewhere, but China, Norway, and Mexico. Probably missed something, didn't I?
No, you got it.
Okay.
Perfect. 24.99 seconds. That's a new world record because I'm pretty sure no one's ever done that before, and you were the first. Okay, that was fun. I was wondering. I wanted to see if I could give you 15 seconds. I want to see if you could have just rattled them off, but you had to put in your mind's eye where they were. So that's good. I didn't know how much time to give you. I said 15 seconds. It would take me like a minute to do all that stuff. And I certainly would have messed that up. Because I always get mixed up where the Morocco Pavilion is. I always think it's farther along, closer to the American Pavilion.
Yeah.
I would have gotten Japan and Morocco mixed up. All right. So I did something a little bit silly. So I went to each one of the parks and I measured the walking distance, and Google also gave me the bike riding distance or time from the two farthest attractions in the park. Okay. So I'm going to give you my pairs, and I want to see if you can guess. First, I'm going to give you all the ones that I've picked, and I want to guess if you could guess me the first one's going to be obvious. The top two longest ones, right? So Magic Kingdom, I measured Big Thunder Mountain to Space Mountain.
Okay.
In Epcot, I measured the Seas to Germany. In Hollywood Studios, I measured Rise to Tower of Terror. I think if you measured Falcon, this might be a little bit longer. And then the Conservation Station to Flight of Passage in Animal Kingdom. Can you give me the longest one? And this one should be the easiest one.
Oh, Conservation Station to Avatar.
That is definitely the longest. Do you know what the next one is? They're all very close. But if you had to guess.
I'll go the Seas from Nemo to Germany.
Correct. Okay, so we're going order now. How long do you think, according to Google, it would take to walk from Big Thunder Mountain to Space Mountain?
It's like how many minutes it would take to walk?
How many minutes? Yep.
From Big Thunder Mountain. I would say 14.
10 minutes.
Only 10 minutes? Okay.
10 minutes. So it's close. How long? All right. I don't know if this is interesting or not, but how long would it take you to ride your bike from Big Thunder Mountain to Space Mountain?
I'm picturing a whole bunch of people with bikes riding through. It's unsafe.
Very unsafe.
I don't know, 4 minutes?
Close. It's 5 minutes. About a half a mile. It's a half a mile I measured out to be. The Seas to Germany. I'll give you a hint. It takes 10 minutes to ride your bike, according to Google Maps, from the Seas to Germany. How long is it of a walk?
Sounds like 20 minutes.
15 minutes. 15 minutes. I don't know why it's faster to walk versus because the other Big Thunder to Space Mountain was like 2-1. This was not. It was also 0.7 miles versus a half a mile. And the smallest one is Rise of the Resistance Tower of Terror. Can you guess how long it takes to walk and how long that walk is?
So I'd say it's 0.4 miles and
Correct.
It would take 9 minutes.
Man, you're right on. Are you reading my computer screen? That was, I don't know if that was interesting, but I thought it was fun. I wanted to try to stump you on some of that.
You got me with the abandoned stuff. I was just not thinking. I don't know. I was not prepared for that.
Well, I mean, to me, I thought you would have immediately gotten like Wonders of Life, Stitch, but I think maybe I didn't communicate exactly what I meant. But
I think in my head when I was thinking abandoned, I was thinking like nature reclaiming. So.
Yes, no, I get that. I should have been more clear on that, so I apologize for your brain going into overload for a moment. Okay, so last week's DBC engagement was a countdown traditions that you have prior to a trip. I'm going to first ask you: do you have any traditions that you do every year?
Yeah, I put down. I couldn't think of anything like very structured or formal that we have, but I do know at some point, obviously there's the tradition of asking everyone what what are the 2 or 3 key things they want to do, and then I also think when we go, especially if there's something we haven't done, we get into watching kind of like what you want to do with the festival of the holidays booths and stuff like that. We'll sit down and kind of all watch those and get excited, like. We go through the list of the food and what do you want to eat and things like that. So if there's a festival going on, we always do that. So that's just kind of part of the prep, though. I don't know if that constitute a tradition.
So for me, it's always been a countdown calendar. I don't know why this stuck. My peak countdown calendar was for our second trip that I planned myself. So that was 2019. This was our ultimate trip. It was 8 days or 8 nights, 9 days. My mother came down. My youngest daughter was still 2 at the time, 1.5 at the time. And I was really excited. This was like peak Disney newbie planning excitement, right? Like every day is a magical day. We had Magical Express. We had the band. I mean, like it was the old school 180 days, then 60 days, then Magic bands come. Like there was Disney planning sessions every single day. Like the parks, planning a park day wasn't like innate in my brain. Like I can rattle off a touring plan strategy like right off the top of my head right now. Before it was like, we had to think about it. And it was exciting to think about. I had a 6-month countdown calendar. I got a banner printed out that was, 5x4 or 5x3, something really big. And I had like 3 little tiny calendars that you can kind of put a sticker on and cross off the week, that type of thing. And then 3 big calendars and then just a big collage of all of our family pictures and stuff like that. It was giant and drove my wife nuts because it was taped up to our wall for 6 months. But since then we've done like 30 and 60-day calendars for some of our other trips. This year, we don't have a countdown calendar. One of our neighbors, who's also a Disney fanatic, she gave us these. This is like days to Disney on some wood blocks, and there was like 2 cubes. So it's a countdown. So it's just like you change the number that faces forward every single day. So we have that in our kitchen. So tradition changed just a little bit. So a couple people from Discord kind of did not have any. Similar to you, did not have any countdown traditions. I'm kind of shocked that there's like not all these countdown traditions out there. I think if anything, there'd be like, I guess there's more rituals of what you do as you're prepping rather than like things.
I do wonder though, like if people just, as time's gone on and you don't have all those things with like booking your ADRs and stuff like that, if people have just kind of gotten away from it a little bit.
Well, that's true. If like you don't have all these milestones, why do you have a calendar?
Yeah.
I mean, if you're not trained to like count down your days to your trip, why are you getting anyway? TL Madden had a list that he says mentioned before, but they went so often they were giving away Magic bands. We have 30 bands, not including the ones designed between 20 and 23, and we make a chain of them and take one day off. So I'm just imagining something like a Christmas tree ornament where you have like the rings. He kind of takes one down. I like that. I've seen a bunch of people do that in the past. It's a great way to use some of those old scrappy Magic bands that don't really work anymore. Ryan W had a really good one, and I think everybody was kind of shocked by this. Like,
it might also be like after this one came out, everyone's like, "Well, I can't match this one, so I'm not going to bother."
Yeah, because this was the last one. Everybody was just in awe and gave him like 100% and thumbs up for this one. But he said for this trip, we started doing a baking countdown. We picked a Walt Disney World snack to make at the 1 year milestone, then another at the 9 months and 6, 3, 1, et cetera, et cetera. So for the 1 year mark, they made the Cheshire Cat Tails, and then I don't know what that is. That's probably really good.
Yeah, they're the it's kind of like a pastry with the icing and stuff like on it that they have at the little stand that's near the teacups.
Yep. No, I get coffee from them all the time, so I know exactly what it is. I've never gotten that though. And then at 9 month milestone, they're making Mickey beignets. I think this is really good. Like you get the family sits around, they have a dessert, have a snack, whatever it might be, and then there's the time putting together, baking it, and the family gets around, and maybe hopefully the family gets around. I mean, in my house, if I was baking, it'd just be 3 screaming children running all over the place, everybody yelling, and hopefully everything gets done in time for whatever it might be. But I really like that. So Ryan, you win this week's DBC engagement. There's no winners, but he won.
It's for pride, not prize.
Yes, exactly. Good job on that. Hopefully other people, I might try to do that next time we go down, whenever that might be. I really, really like that idea. The only thing is, I don't think I'll have a trip planned for 1 year in advance at this point, because we're not taking the kids out of school anymore, I don't think, for Christmas. And if we plan anything, it might be like spur of the moment. Like, oh, there's a really good deal in the summer like this, like, kids go for free or something else like that. So that type of thing. Okay, so I want to remind everybody the DBC engagement for next week is what are you thankful for? And if you want to just write non-Disney related things that you're thankful for, we'll certainly listen to your well wishes and good stories. Phil, anything else that we might want to put out there before we take a break for we're not going to take a break. We'll be recording next week for our Thanksgiving holiday.
No, I think that's good. I think just thinking of other things I'm thankful for when you mentioned about that, maybe not specifically Disney related, but I am thankful that friend of the show, Julie, did find a new job that she just recently took and seems to be going well. So we're very happy for her. So I'm thankful for that.
And if you hop on Discord, you can find out maybe where she's working and say hello. But I don't know if she wants all that welcome stuff on her first couple. So don't do that. Don't do that.
Don't do that.
Cut that out. No. But yes, we're thankful that she's on the way up, back on her feet. And that being said, Phil, have a wonderful week, and we'll see you next time. Thank you for watching and listening, everybody.
Take care, everyone.